Hello, this is Paloma. I come back with the story the sky is telling for the next few days. Beautiful family, thank you for sharing this space with me. We are opening up a new lunation in the school of the sacred message, Gemini. It's between the 26th to 27th of May, depending on where you live. The heavens are offering us this seeding moment, quite exquisite, I would say. It's one of the most beautiful new moons of this year. And the frequency is amazing. So we're going to have the sun and the moon conjoining at the sixth degree of Geminis. If you can find this part of your chart, you can be more intentional about what can be opened and sought with a pretty amazing creativity, a very visionary and constructive energy, quite powerful. So the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, and he is also there with the moon and with the sun. So it looks like this very heightened energy in terms of the air, the restlessness, the curiosity, the creativity, and of course the communication of Gemini. So it looks like we're going to be throughout the week, I would say, in a moment of a lot of exchanges, conversations, messages, insights, and yet it doesn't seem as erratic or just disperso, like restless as usual, because of the conditions in which this new moon happens, which is there is something tempering this energy. It's going to give it a profound sense of vision, of future and responsibility to this, which is truly a pollinization, and how we're going to think and name this cycle. The invitation is really to look forward into a long term with this seed. We will probably harvest beautiful fruits from this labor, but it will require constancy, discipline, and commitment. And this is, of course, because Saturn has just entered Aries by the moment of this new moon, which is very intense, very beautiful. It's an opening of a new cycle that we need to understand and see it as something that will be developing for the next couple years, right? So it's not fast. There is a fast-moving energy of Aries, of course, but Saturn here is going to say we cannot run. No, we need to really be intentional about where we pour our energy. And it's beautiful because Saturn is creating a sextile to this new moon. So from now, as soon as he entered, he's inviting us to truly own the power of creation of a new narrative. I'm calling this the new mythology, or the new creation myth that is really setting the foundations for what we call New Earth. So if Saturn is there, Neptune is there as well, with this passionate devotion, like really pouring into the seed, the vision, the magic, the possibility of these sacred causes that are lighting or igniting our hearts to open new destinies, to sing new songs, I would say. So the beautiful thing is Jupiter is also there at the end of Gemini. He's pretty much wrapping up his cycle there of this whole past year, which was quite restrictive. And because now he's in a more free state, it seems to me like he's going to be sharing the gifts and blessings as a goodbye of the hope, of the openness, of the expansiveness, through these disseminating the message and the seeds, so we can refresh our minds and our perspectives. Now, the other extremely interesting and powerful alignment is that we have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, weaving a trine to the new moon. This gives this seed a very transformative power. That's why I see this new myth of creation for humanity, that at the same time reminds us of our ancestral origin. It awakens more of who we are, of who we've been, and of who we will be. And because it glimpses the future that we are paving our path towards right now. So there is joy, there is play, because it is Gemini energy, but there's nothing superficial about this stellar moment. There is a calling, a very strong calling us into truth, to be the truth tellers, the truth singers, and not the ones that tell senseless stories and lose ourselves in thinking for the sake of thinking or talking. There is a calling to a very important skill of discernment in front of all the avalanche of information that we are participating in. There is a responsibility to claim for the way in which we participate in how we inform. With this, I mean we give form, shape to the world, and how the world shapes us with information. Now, if we are not careful, we might be overrun by this, the information avalanche. We could be subtly stripped, or our capacity to think critically and freely might be stolen if we do not truly become aware of what we are giving our power to. In terms of our trust as well, this is a cycle of mastery, of trusting ourselves and knowing we are source. So yes, so there is a redefining our perceptions and facing our own lives as well. It is a moment to transform communication. We are invited to honesty and to transparency so we can connect with ourselves whilst we navigate the duality of this dimension, which has duality. And this is a school of duality, actually, Gemini, that teaches us integration through the divine and the human, the profane and the sacred, and everything that we look as opposites that in truth is complementary energy. So let us not forget, this is actually the the pre-Urano in Gemini energy. And he's going to be an extreme, I see it as neuronal, mental, and consciousness stimulation. And this is like really, really soon. So the work, like the commitment to truly start weaving a bridge between our hemispheres, between the communion of mind and heart, truly inclining our mind to our hearts and creating this bridge through our spelling, our words. This is so important right now. Revisiting our narratives and the way in which we share information seems really important, not only outside, but also like the inner dialogue can be transformed here into new ways of thinking and expressing. This requires, bravery and authenticity, but everything is there for us to truly connect to this courage and this freedom. This moon is also inciting us to question the spiritual paths and the teachings that we are following, because there is a deep, deep need for alignment and integrity. So through this lunation, Saturn in Aries is beginning the lessons of self-discipline, mastery, and responsibility. This is going to ask us to take it easy, to be reflective before we jump. So that's there. And Pluto is inviting us to claim agency for the power of our vision, to honor tradition, and to be those who, the prayers of the future. No, we are that bridge that will integrate every time in the now. It's important also, I must say, when there is such an extreme heightened energy in terms of exchanges and conversations, to remember that we ought to allow others to express their truth without fear of repercussion, because diversity is the richness of life. And this is a great moment for learning, for sharing, for teaching as well. But let us remember that an effective and aware communication requires attention, commitment, and not only talking, but also listening. Let's assure ourselves that we are actively listening to others and listening to ourselves as well, so we can understand this true power of communication and the communication of our hearts and our minds. Let us discern what's valuable from what is not, so we can learn to truly trust ourselves in a world full of illusions. I feel like this seed has wings, okay? It feels like a dawn, like a sunrise. We are recalibrating our mind, body, our nervous systems. It's still very intense days of solar activity, and so also feeling the threshold of Saturn from the last degree of Pisces into Aries has been quite intense. I would just say we still have a deep need to ground, to stay truly hydrated, and to rest, to take the pauses that we need to integrate this very strong update that we are undergoing. Let's be compassionate and truly listen to our needs. And yes, well, this might be a moment that awakens us to new potentials that we weren't entirely aware of within ourselves. So let's take note, let's write, let's clarify, let's simplify. I would say, like, just write it all down so we do not get too trapped in our minds and get confused or undecisive about it, because I believe we do know there is something calling from within. And this is something to look beyond the instant into this long term. It is pushing us beyond our boundaries, I know. But this moment truly provides creative solutions and movement. And this is a full of potential seed for new beginnings that will be structured with consistency and with trust in the process. There is responsibility, big responsibility about where we choose to pour our energy and how we are aligning ourselves or not with the truth of who we are. It is an opportunity for a new personal story that will contribute and create a new collective reality. Beautiful new moon, full of blessings and commitment, so we can flourish and bloom in beautiful fruits for the world, for the good of all, truly. So the week really has this energy, like all of the alignments of the week have to do with Mercury, so it's very mercurial. So we can expect a lot of this kind of movement, exchanges, interactions. By the 29th, the sun is actually joining Mercury. This is like a full moon for Mercury. So I expect insights and clarity and this moment of enlightenment, I would say, of our minds after all the recapitulating energy that the first half of 2025 has been, so we can start moving into these new territories and maybe orienting our hearts to this sunrise, to humbly present our faces and our voices and our songs to the future, so we can choose to write this new love story for humanity. So that's what I have. Still sort of struggling with this endless flu, but yeah, I hope this serves you, and thank you for sharing this space with me. Blessings.